We'll go ahead and get started with the meeting so we can keep running smoothly since we have two presentations tonight. The first being College of Arts and Sciences from Dean Chakrabarty. And so he knows who all is in the room and who all comprises the Tuition and Fee Strategies Committee. We'll go around and do quick introductions, your name and your role on the committee. So Jessica Van Lincoln, Student Body President, co-chair of the committee.
Heather Reed, Student Life. I'm advisor to SGA.
Drew Gorman, I'm here with the College of Business.
Jordan Keel, not on the committee.
Brianna Mertens.
Jake McIntyre, I represent the College of Technology.
Jordan Martin, College of Engineering. I'm Victor Valdez, I represent the College of Arts and Sciences.
I'm Will Moreland, College of Ag.
I'm Anna Jackson in the College of Education.
I'm James Kretz, I'm just an observer.
Pat Bosco, Student Life.
Cindy Bontrager, Administration and Finance.
Andy Bennett, President, Faculty Senate.
Trey McGee, Graduate School Representative.
Trenton Kennedy, Student Body Vice President, and I take the minutes.
Jack Ayers, I'm the Speaker of the Senate. I'm co-chair of this committee with Jessica.
1 second. Is Macy not?
Macy's not
here.
Okay. That is Megan Terry.
Nobody's in there.
No.
Well, I'm Amit Chakrabarty. I'm the interim dean of College of Arts and Sciences. And first of all, I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to be here and present our proposal, particularly addressing some of the initial questions that you have and share with us. Before I do so though, I want to give you a quick introduction and background, what we are doing here. Good?
Yep, that's fine.
All right. I hope this thing works. Jack promised me this. Yes.
It's Jack's fault.
Yeah.
I agree.
No. It's not his fault. He did his part. It doesn't work. Okay, so we are proposing to add a $10 fee. So we have some existing fee, and this is what's happening to it. We have an $8 fee that we started in 2014 to update our teaching equipment and student research and travel. I'll come to student research in a second. And then we added $8.70 per credit hour to increase the college GTA stipend to peer average. So we were at the bottom of mid-12, and we strive to be average. And now we are average. And you can imagine when you have a 30% stipend difference between Kansas State and another university whose name should not be taken 90 miles apart, you have a problem. And I have a department head here, and I was a department head for some time, and we know that problem firsthand. So this has helped us enormously with recruitment of our GTAs. And it's not just for our graduate program. The GTAs actually teach a lot of classes in their, often more, but definitely in their first year here. And then part of that we have also used to hire professional advisors in the discipline, not in the college, but in the discipline. And we are still hiring some advisors. So that's the quick breakdown of the current fee. $670 for student research, instructional supplies, $680 for competitive stipends for GTAs, and $320 for advisors. So in dollar terms, you can see one of the questions you had is how much is GTA training? And I will there it is. I will bring you to the last slide. So 1.24 million of that last year was in departmental equipment, technology, all teaching stuff. This is not research. And 20,000 for training of graduate assistants. Okay, so that's a very, very small part of this. And undergraduate research scholarships, undergraduate research is a big part of the K-State 2025 goals. And we have started doing that. There are departments in the college that has a history of using undergraduates in their research. But what this research stipend does is that it broadens that, and it gives the student the power to choose who they want to work with. So they have to find a faculty advisor, and they know that there will be funding to help. Okay? Not that if someone has a federal grant, only then this student can work. So this is a really big deal for us. And so look at the number between these 4 years. We have 337 total awards, but 283 individual students have been supported. So some students received it more than once. They can get up to twice. And the natural sciences, where most of these awards are, because they have a tradition of using undergraduates for research, but it is broadening up. You can see this is if you add arts and humanities and social sciences, this is still 91, which is about half of the natural sciences. So it is broadening up because of this. And GTA training that I touched, although it's a small part, graduate students become better teachers, and they communicate better. They can work with undergraduate students better. Oftentimes, they're put in interactive classrooms, and this is where training becomes extremely important. So now I come to the proposed fee increase. We are asking for a $10 fee increase. So the way to look at it is that for undergraduate instruction, there are three major components. Those are the GTAs, the advisors, and the instructors, the non-tenure track faculty instructors. And we have been able to make a difference with the GTAs and also with the discipline-based advisors. And now it's time to address the other issue of non-tenure track faculty. And that's what we are proposing in this proposal. So if you look at some of the questions came up here and other issues, if you look at the college budget, you will see that the college went through a budget cut last year from the state, also from an internal reallocation. And college's enrollment number, although it's not even overall discipline, is somewhat down. So let's give you a perspective on that. What does it mean to be enrollment down, and why this doesn't solve this problem? So let's say you have a class, an interactive studio in biology, physics, a lab in chemistry, doesn't matter, a class that broad number of undergraduate students, not just in arts and sciences, a writing class in English, everyone practically in this room, they will take. Let's say that this class has 40 students, and you have a 5% reduction. So I'm not going to give you a quiz today, right? So what's 5% of 40? So that's 2 students, right? So now we have 38. But you still just need 1 instructor for that. Just because the 40 goes to 38, you cannot reduce the 1 instructor to 0.98 instructor. No such thing happens. However, the college has lost a large sum of funding last year because of reallocation, because of state budget, and it's continuing. So that's putting a lot of pressure on the college on hiring and keeping quality instructors. Last year we were hiring into August. We actually made hires in August last year, because we didn't know the budget before. So because of that, it becomes very difficult to hire good people. We do last moment kind of scrambling, and also to promote the ones that get good evals, the students love to have, and the university now has a track, a teaching track. It can be an instructor, a super instructor, an extra super instructor. I'm not saying the handbook names, but you can figure this out. Also, teaching assistant professor, teaching associate professors, and all that. So there are now opportunities for promoting good people and giving them a way to be part of K-State on a long term. But for that, you need kind of a source that is steady. It doesn't fluctuate wildly, and it's not something that you figure out in late summer. That's the purpose. That's the third problem that we are trying to address. Okay, then there are some specific questions that I already went over that. Justification I want to show you some student perspective, and then I'm going to address some questions. So we had several forums, and the students came and said it's a good idea for the college, the student in natural sciences. My class sizes really have not decreased significantly. When I was a prospective student was promised that my class sizes would shrink, and so on and so forth. Instead of shrinking class size, if we don't have quality people to address, there will be waiting lists. So this is what this body needs to figure out, is that if this fee is not approved by this body, we will have less sections and we will have waiting lists. Then another student, this is a student in political science. It may be frustrating, but if we sit and do nothing, we'll lose a valuable asset of our K-State community, our instructors. Class sizes will increase, and you're hearing the same thing again and again. And another one, I definitely think that the money is going back to fund teaching positions is beneficial to us as students. In my experience, the most powerful way to learn and gain valuable life skills from K-State is to have great teachers. And to have great teachers, this is what I'm adding, is you have to have a mechanism to reward them. And this is the mechanism that we are proposing. Okay, then some concerns about how does this affect minority students. So I have some data here, and I'm putting it in kind of my way of naming because it's not fit in. And you can see that this is university data. I could not get hold of very college-specific data. This is from 2010 to 2016, and you can see that. Okay, so it's not showing up very well. So E is the Latino students, and so that number has gone up. So that's the growing part of the population of the state. So we are being able to address some number of students. African American students are somewhat down in 6 years. So you can see from 993 to, let's see, from 856. So depending on what group of minority students you're looking at, you will see some ups and downs. But this is overall the university thing. Is it related to the fee increase? Well, I'm going to do a very quick back of the envelope calculations for you to see the effect of that fee increase. So let's look at the fee increase. Let's say that the fee increase is $10 as we are proposing. Right? So a typical student will take 14, 18, 28 credits over 9 months. So that's about $280 that's this new fee will bring in. And so if you divide that by 9 months, that's about $30 a month, right? So you can look at it in two ways. One will be to have this $30, how many hours you have to work outside. So that will be, let's say you make $10 an hour doing something. That will be 3 hours a month. And I'm confident that having good quality of teacher who will be promoted and who will have a strong attachment to the students because of that, to K-State, I think you will gain more than 3 hours a month because of the quality that you need to get. The second way to look at that is $30 a month means $1 a day. So this is where I was looking for a Starbucks poster, right? $1 on it. But I thought, okay, I'll not show that. So that's the kind of effect we are talking about here. That's the effect of the fee increase. There are other questions that, well, this might be hard for arts and sciences students because after they graduate, they don't make as much money. And this is from Wall Street Journal. So September 11, 2016, Wall Street Journal shows that, and this is the title of this article that I took this data from. It says, good news, liberal arts majors. Your peers probably won't out-earn you forever. So you can see some numbers there. And it varies from all over liberal arts. And this doesn't even have the STEM part of my college. This is just the liberal arts. And you can see that that the salaries after several years, they kind of converge to other majors. And these other majors are also chosen by hand to have the maximum impact. Okay, so then the other question that's been asked is that what methods have been taken or could be taken to operate more effectively, make cuts. I've given you the arithmetic of budget cuts is that the student number goes from 40 to 38, you need same number of people to teach, but you're having several $1 million less in your budget. So you have to cut somewhere. And the way to cut that is throughout the college. This ripple is filled throughout the college. Okay? I mean, I have departments who do not have telephones. Faculty don't have telephones. I mean, you know, these are, and we're going to, this year we're going to have less tailgates. So sad, right? So, you know, stuff like that. It's throughout the college, this thing is felt, and it's affecting the quality of instruction at every level. That's the nature of budget cuts. That's the nature of cutting higher education. Every dollar you lose $1 at least immediately because you're cutting class size. And then if you look at the long-term effect, every dollar you lose in economic impact and all that, you lose $30. One can estimate. So that's the effect of budget cuts. Okay, the fee structure that we have is extremely efficient in the sense that we don't hire anyone, we don't pay anyone to run the programs. The programs are run from the dean's office, and we don't have a single dime used for administrative costs. So it's very efficient, very, very efficient. Every dollar goes back to your classroom. What else I need to address? I think that, there was one question I want to address, is that what criteria would be used to determine what department received these funds, okay? And that will be pretty much with where the student credit hour being generated, or the fees being generated, and what the need is. Sometimes, so let's do a quick estimate again. I'm pretty good at that. So 2.8 million, right? So if you hire an instructor at 50,000 plus benefits, that's 70,000, very rough. So you have 40 instructors. Some will be retained. You might be able to hire some really good people. So that's 40. 22 departments in the college. So on the average, there are 2 that will be supported, either retaining or promoting or getting someone very good. But it will not be uniform over all departments. Not 22 departments, this will be averaged out. I would think that it will go between 0, maybe not 0, maybe 1, maybe shared 1, 2, 3, or 4. Maybe in very, very special cases, it might be more than 3. But I think most of the hires will have a broad band between 1 and 3. So, and it's focused on what the needs are, where the teaching pedagogy is interactive. This is going to be an important factor in deciding where we're going to put these dollars. Right? Whether it's writing course, studios, labs, recitations, large calculus class. I'm giving these examples because Andy is sitting here. Large calculus class, and then you have to have those small discussion, recitation, problem-solving sessions. If you take away those, imagine life at K-State. You go to a class, physics, math, English, whatever, econ, go to a class, 300 students, someone shows up, gives you a lecture, assigns you homework, and comes back and repeats it 2 days later, and that's all you get. It will affect everything in that case, right? It will affect from quality education to retention to learning the subject. Ultimately, that's what you are here for, learning the subject well. And undergraduate research gives you one aspect of that, that the fact that you, what you are learning from textbooks actually are needed and used. So, you see that connection. So all that, if we don't have this interactive classrooms, if we don't have the instructors, along with our tenure track faculty, the quality of education will be very, very poor and affected at Kansas State. I'm at 6:25, and I'm going to stop here and give you just 5 minutes before Dean Dawson comes and gets ready for his presentation.
What questions are there for Dean Chakrabarty?
I have a question.
Yes.
So on your fee proposal, you have all very positive reviews of like they want the fee. Were there any negative feedback? Because I saw on one, you had 4 attendees to a forum, and 3 signed that they're in support of the proposal. Was that 1 student not in support, so that's why they didn't sign, or?
The students that showed up, every single one supports the proposal.
Okay.
After the discussion. There was some negative comments, but those negative comments were something unrelated to the proposal.
Okay.
Something like we're hiring so many administrators with high salaries. That's probably not relevant for our discussion here, because students often don't know the broad picture of running the university, but they hear these things. So I will not get into that. Probably it's not going to be very productive for this discussion. But in the context of this, every single one was very, very positive. They have concerns about fees. so do we. But when we compare that, as I said, compare that to the effect of it's coming to, you know, $30 a month, to how it affects your education, we are willing to take a strong stand on it. And I hope that this body also takes a strong positive stand in favoring our
Looking over this proposal, it says that 86% is distributed and the rest is kept to support the undergraduate research scholarships and research travel scholarships. But for that distributed to the departments, is that looking for the $70,000 a year salary for non-tenure track professors, like that instructional component? Does that make sense?
That's what happened in the past. So mainly the money that's kept in the college is going to be is for the large equipment proposals. We have a proposal that we allow them to write for large equipment in teaching. That, you know, kind of a dream equipment that you use, having an NMR machine in a classroom, you know, that sort of thing. That's the 14% of part you're looking at. That's in the past. This money that we'll have, will be every dime will go to the department. There'll be nothing, but it'll be all salaries. It'll be all salaries and benefits. Yeah, 70,000 is after having benefits. Yeah. The salaries will, depending on the discipline, will be probably 40 to 50 plus.
Dean Chakrabarty, where are the major pressure points in the college? Because you have 23 departments that are very, very different in terms of the number of student hours, credit hours that they generate. Where are the pressure points?
Okay, so I have a list of folks that we support in the college by funding, which is not just soft money. And if I count all of them, this is all over the college with the instructors. It comes to, among this, it comes to about 3.6 million in non-budgeted instructors. So the
Non-budget, is that what you said?
yeah, it's on soft money. So it varies all over the college. And this is where, if you have a budget cut, this is the money that basically disappears.
But you said it wasn't budgeted money, so it's not GU money. I'm perplexed.
This is money from our summer school. This is money from, you know, somebody retired. You know, this is just money that you.
So it's not soft money, it's GU dollars.
It's not budgeted, but it's from salary savings,
Right.
from
In that case, it's not someone as a
It's
regular
one-time money,
instructor in the budget.
Okay.
Okay, I should rephrase that.
So I'm not sure I got my question answered. What are the departments where you really have this instructional need where these positions would be deployed?
A large number will be in the STEM department. Some will be in related departments. Math will be a department. Physics will be a department. English has some scattered needs. And the rest is all over. There is no way for us to promote any one of these folks there. To have a long-term commitment to the quality folks. And we'd like to make a change there.
So one thing you mentioned was like not having calculus recitations or not having like physics studios. How close is it to where the budget's gonna just not allow us to have those recitations or studios at all?
It's not there. We are not close to that.
Okay.
Right now, maybe in math. I'm just guessing. I do not think that we are there. But what you will see is waiting lists, right? What you will see is that you cannot run. Okay, so chemistry runs labs till 10:30 at night. Okay, many of you might have taken that. Physics studios, physics used to have two lecture sections of 150 and one off semester. So that is now we are running classes in the big math lecture 101 with 332 sections, and that's overflowing. So the studio needs now goes to the roof. So some of the pressure points are really deep and huge. But I do not think that that we are anywhere close that we will not have any studios or residences. We are not there. What will happen is that we'll have much less than the need, and there will be a long waiting list. So you might be able to get to a lecture, but you will really not be able to take a class.
So is this about this fee increase, this one specifically, not the first two, or is this about maintaining the current level of education in Kansas State University or advancing the level of education?
It's both, in the sense that there are pressure points that you have to take care of, and then you might be able to promote and give a long-term employment to some good quality people, that the students that have good evals, good peer review, and you want to keep them in Kansas State. So it will have effect from both ends.
So follow up, the long-term employment, do you suspect that to come from the general budget or more fees in the future?
I don't expect any more fees from the future for this. Yeah, this will give us enough flexibility to be able to handle that.
Trent Kennedy, you had a question, right?
It was.
You can actually quote me that if I show up next year, which I have no plan. There are three major issues: GTAs, advisors, and instructors, and I think we're making a real headway into that.
Okay, one question, and then Vice President Bontrager, and then we'll probably have to move on to Tim Dawson's presentation.
Yeah, so you talked about like promoting faculty through the fee. How aggressive are you being in terms of acquiring endowed professorships and like endowed chairs and that type of thing?
We have, this year we have 3 new ones, but you have to be a little bit careful with that. The folks that we are trying to promote here and keep and retain, they're non-tenure track, okay? And oftentimes the donor passion that you match are for superstars in the college. In a tenure track, some professors are not. And even then, although we have made a lot of progress in our number of endowed professors, oftentimes these are when that donor passes. So this is kind of a 20-year or so lag. So I asked Foundation to run a model that when we will get the most amount of cash, because cash is better than promise, right? 2037. 2037 is when all our efforts that you're doing for raising the chair professorship and other donor money, we get that peak in 2037. So it's a long-term building of the college, but it doesn't help us in just now.
So what type of appointments will these be? They're non-tenure track, and will they be term appointments full-time or part-time?
For the quality people that I like to keep looking for jobs somewhere, we will have a 3-year commitment, and so that they can be, teaching assistant professor or super instructor, and other things that now the university policies and handbook allows.
So they will be full-time, fully benefited?
Yeah.
So what happens when the fee gets reduced? How then would you fund these?
Well, these are a 3-year term contract, so even if you do on a teaching assistant professor, this only guarantees 3 years. And then I will show up here and convince everyone that they should continue rather than asking for new, right? There is a different. Maybe by that time, the state finances will improve and all these things will go away.
I want to go to that fantasy world.
It's not completely fantasy. So in Minnesota had a budget surplus, and so their governor said, well, higher education has been affected for a long time. And this year, how about if I put $1 billion?
Minnesota is what we need to move to?
Their tuition
No,
is going up.
we need to change our state into that.
We got to be more
Just-
just.
Yeah, so then I'd be told that.
Minnesota's going down.
We want their governor.
There'll be more
Everyone in
space
this room knows we're on this.
something.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you
Really
very much.
appreciate it. Yeah, Jackson, get your flash drive.
I'll give you the flash drive back to you.
Is it over?
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Good to see you, sir.
Oh, goodbye.
Sorry, Trey.
Hey. Oh, you're doing good. Get the presentation and then-
Sorry, Dawson, 1 second.
For Dean Dawson and Associate Dean Clark, I have to meet a candidate at 7:15, so I'll be leaving shortly after 7. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. So my Clarkson, John?
Sorry.
These two, I mean,
Yes.
he's a fun guy.
Second candidate, and I'm taking him to dinner, so. Yeah.
Grab that.
We'll go ahead and do introductions again, since we have a couple new faces in the room. So, same as last time, Jessica Van Rankin, Student Body President and Co-Chair of the committee with Jack.
Heather Reed, Student Life, I'm SGA Advisor.
Trent McGee, Graduate School Representative.
Jordan Keel, on this committee. Brianna Martin Stone.
Jake McIntyre, I'm representing the College Community College.
Jordan Martin, representing College of Engineering.
Victor Valdez, representing College of Arts and Sciences. Will Moreland, representing College of Ag.
Anna Jackson, representing the College of Education.
James Krutz, just an observer.
Pat Bosco, student life.
April Mason, Provost.
Cindy Bontiger, Administration and Finance.
Andy Bennett, Faculty Senate.
Darren Dawson, Dean of the College of Engineering.
Gary Clark, Senior Associate Dean of Engineering.
Trenton Kennedy, Student Body Vice President, and I take the notes.
Okay, good.
Jack Ayers, Speaker of the Senate, Co-Chair of the committee with Jessica. Hi there.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just jump right in. Yeah, and so, what I did here is, and I have some slides for the presentation, but when I got questions on Friday night, what I decided to do is just jump in right with the questions. That way we'd have time to just talk about questions. Because you've already seen the proposal, you know what it is, so let's try to talk about questions, the 10 questions you gave. So unless you have any questions about the proposal in general. Okay, so let's just jump right into the questions. So has the increased cost of attendance affected enrollment of students from underrepresented communities? Now, I think we'd answer no to that because the demographics are as follows. Female students, 17.5%, underrepresented minority students, 11.7%. These percentages in the College of Engineering now at an all-time high. Any questions?
Do you have benchmarks for where you want those to go?
Absolutely. Gary,
Yeah, for new goal, well, we had a goal to get to about 470 women students in the college, so we surpassed that. We've actually, on both of those, we've surpassed our 2025 goals.
Yeah.
So for those folks that are reporting to me on those, we're setting new goals now. So I'm really, my goal is to have the number of women students up to 20% in the college. And then I'm going to work with our multicultural engineering program to see where we think we need to get the underrepresented minority student program. So both of those have been growing. So
now, the key there is the percentage that's at all times high, not just the numbers.
And that's with increased enrollment overall in
college. So what methods have been or could be taken to operate more efficiently to make cuts and save money? Well, as all you know, it's difficult to talk about this in general because 90% of our block allocations in salaries, okay? However, if the fee increase does not pass, we will implement some significant program reductions in our Academic Success Center, which is our recruitment and our retention and our multicultural programs. That's what we intend to do, okay? Because we don't want to affect the departmental teaching programs. So if you know about our Fiedler Learning Commons, our Scholars Assisting Scholars program, these are the programs that we will have to ramp down. Our creative inquiry design teams, really that's one of the special things that really makes the College of Engineering the College of Engineering. The money that the money that we actually give to the students to do things like concrete canoe, steel bridge, Formula One car, all those mini design teams. So we will reduce those if the fee increase does not pass. And of course, we put about $200,000 a year in undergraduate student research from the college into the departments. Okay, and so then the students are paid $1,000 stipends during the regular part of the year, and so we can cut that out. Now, we have done a lot, and Provost Mason can tell you, I think our college has probably led the way of making financial-related policy changes in the graduate program. And so we've made substantial changes in the graduate program, the way we operate financially. For example, we limit the amount of faculty carryover, and we've used that money to buy equipment throughout the college. So we then implemented new policies there.
You might want to explain what carry forward is, just so everybody's
Sure,
on the same
you're
page.
correct. So basically, there's faculty have incentive money to do research, and they can bank that money over time. In fact, some faculty have banked that money to levels of $300,000 or $400,000 in case study when I got here in College of Engineering. And so we put in a limit where that limit is $25K now. And those faculty use that money to buy equipment for research all over the college as the money was forced to ramp down for a 3-year period. We also had a lot of centers all over the college that had allocations from the block. And now after this year, that will be completely ramped out. So all centers now in the College of Engineering that do research are self-sustaining. They no longer get any money from the block. Our new distance education formula, what we did there is we get money for teaching online classes, both the graduate and undergraduate, and we pushed most of all that money out into the departments so the departments can use that money for their educational and their research programs. And then lastly, our new sponsored research overhead policy, we now have, what we do is we use more of the money, that's one of the reasons the carryover went up so high, is the PIs were in some of the departments, not all the departments, but some of the departments got a disproportionate share of the money. Now, they would probably say that's not true. But now what we've done is we've gone to a one-third policy. And so we're using that money in the deans and the department heads' offices to provide money for startup as we ramp in these new faculty.
So when someone gets a grant, they have a certain amount of it that goes directly to the project. But Kansas State University and all other universities have what they call indirect cost recovery. And some of that stays centrally with Peter Dorhout. Some of it goes to Cindy for lights and water. Some of it goes to me. A small portion goes to the library, but a good portion goes to the dean and the department heads. What a lot of Kansas State University has decided to do is pushed it down to the faculty level. The faculty were increasing that amount and getting a huge bank account. What Darren has done has stopped that. And getting that money out in use, buying equipment, doing things at the college level that are important.
And really that money is being expended at the college level, but in the departments. So that just gives you an idea of some flavor of some of the things we have done as far as, cutting things over the last 3 years and fixing some of the financial related problems we had. So what is the status of our ABET accreditation? Well, we'll be ready for the visit in the fall. We implemented many new things for this round, and we all have all the self-study guides completely prepared, and we're making tweaks for those now. So they're completely done, and we're now going through the facility, and we're cleaning up some of the labs and some of the classrooms. We'll do a lot of painting and stuff and fixing some of the equipment over the summer. We'll be ready for sure. What's the risk that we would lose accreditation? Well, we can't say it definitively. Okay, you really can't know what's going to happen until you go through this. But we do believe mechanical engineering and computer science, the reason I picked those two out, is because they're the two programs that have the largest enrollment increase. We have added faculty disproportionately in this as people retired, and also for the new hiring plan into those departments. In fact, in mechanical engineering, we've added 6 faculty, and in computer science, we've added 3 instructors. What needs to be done this fiscal year to maintain accreditation? We need to continue the plan. We need to increase the fees and continue the hiring plan. That's what we need to do. Any questions? Go ahead.
So you're implying with that if you don't get a fee increase that you will lose accreditation?
No, I can't say that. Well, I'm not implying that. You said, what do we need to do to maintain it? That's my opinion, but I can't say definitively that was what will happen. Because I said, we can't say.
So are you tying fee increases directly to accreditation? Like if
no,
there's not,
no.
So you're not.
No, okay. No, you can't, because you really don't know what will happen.
So we have accreditation visits every 6 years. Mm-hmm. And mechanical engineering has been growing and growing and growing. In the last 2 cycles, we've been flagged because our student faculty ratio is too low. Actually, for the last 3 cycles. Last time it was bad, we had to do an interim report in terms of what are we going to do to fix it, and we got some positions released and we fixed it. What's happened since the last visit? Mechanical has gone from 700 to almost 1,000 students. So it's grown again, and we're just barely, in all honesty, in that program, we're barely keeping up with where we were in terms of our student faculty ratio from where we were 5 years ago, 6 years ago in the last visit. Computer science has grown from 250 to 650 students over the last 3 years. So again, it's just trying to keep up, and that's with all the other departments growing too.
Okay, so what has central administration done what's their part in this in terms of what they've done to help with that?
We'll get to that. Okay, one of those questions about finances. So, question 4, has there been an effort to increase the college readiness and thus retention in such as higher ACT scores? Yes, we've implemented qualified admissions, 3.0 GPA ACT of 21 to get into college, not admitted to a departmental program, and then 3.0 ACT of 24 to be admitted into the department. So the answer is yes.
When do we implement those?
Right now. It's going into effect now for the fall of 17.
So if I have a 23 on my ACT, I can get into the College of Engineering, but I will not be placed in a department.
That's correct. You would be put into our general engineering program.
Gotcha.
And you have a chance to matriculate into a department.
Which is it's a place, actually it's a better place because these are students that are at risk a little bit. Most of those students are not ready for calculus yet. So we're working with them a little bit more closely in college and algebra and trig.
So to follow up on that with your diversity question, research shows that underrepresented groups have lower ACT scores on average than white populations. How is this going to affect that? This hasn't been put in place.
We've watched, so we've got probably 80 to 100 students so far this year that have applied to K-State, that have been accepted to K-State, but didn't meet these thresholds. And we've looked at the diversity in there, and it's about the same as our mainstream population. So it really has not impacted one group over another.
And talk about how, if they're below 21, what they can do to matriculate still into the college.
Oh yeah, and the door's not closed. So what we're doing is we're recommending to these students, they've been admitted to K-State. So our first math class is Calc 1, but there's a lot of students that are taking college algebra trig, keep going, but there's students that we've seen that are below that. So where are they? We're recommending they go into open option in arts and sciences. We're recommending that we also have what's called a pathways. So it's just, here's a list, here's a series of courses that you should take to get yourself ready. Our internal transfer guideline was a 2.5 GPA. We're keeping that. We're not changing that. What we're saying is that you also need to be Calc ready. We would like, to come into the college. It means you got to pass So in order to be Calc ready, you've got to pass Math 100 with a B or better and Math 150 with a C or better. So there's a pathway in.
So the Board of Regents has challenged universities to lower the time of students being at a university. I think the average is 6 years right now, and they're trying to challenge that. Is that helping or hurting students' chances of getting through the university faster and in the long run saving them money?
I mean, qualified admissions? Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that helps. Because it does bring up your averages, because you do have some students that will never be able to get into engineering.
So then if you don't have students getting engineering, you expect an enrollment drop and thus not needing the increase in faculty that was brought up as the need for.
It's actually it goes the opposite. You put a bar up there and there's more students that come up to the bar. It sounds counterintuitive. Our enrollment has been growing and growing and growing. I don't think, and with this program in place, right now we've been looking at the current admit numbers, and I don't think we're going to have as big of a growth this year as we've had the previous 2 years, but I think we're still going to have a higher enrollment this fall than we had last fall.
You said that qualifying admission sets a bar, but hasn't the university overall general, like ever since qualified admissions was put in place, we have gone down in enrollment, whether that's the cause or not. We've seen a decrease in enrollment.
It's uneven throughout the academy. What the college is attempted to do is take care of a group of students that simply would not be successful in the College of Engineering. And we've tried to, for this fall, so what's going to happen after, as we look through the years in front of us, your guess is good as mine, but as we look carefully behind, the group that the deans are talking about are a group that wouldn't persist. They were not doing well. They were stopped. They're low GPA, not doing well in Calc, were not ready for Calc, had to retake Calc. They were ready, but they were in the program. So it's a group of students that would not have fit the 6-year window. They were stalled out. Qualified admissions has changed the landscape of our entire state. Any time we make any kind of an adjustment, there's a chilling effect of the populace in our state, and we're experiencing a chilling effect with our enrollment across the state. Fewer students are going on, and some of those students probably shouldn't have gone on. That at one time were admitted to K-State and other schools throughout the state, and probably should have been doing other things.
And what I'm trying to get at is that group that he's talking about that is in your college that maybe shouldn't be in your college in terms of they don't persist, they don't go through. They're now going to be out of your college because the new qualified admissions. So logically, that hurts enrollment.
Yeah.
There's only so many qualified engineers to come to the university.
But it depends on where they are. These students
So you're saying below 21.
I mean,
that's where the threshold is.
Well, if they never get if they can't.
Let me just say, those students never graduated anyway. I mean, if you talk to our Dean for Student Recruitment, Betty Grauer, she says the chances of somebody, that's why we pick these, that's why we're using this number, we believe these numbers are good. The chances of somebody with a 20 ACT getting an engineering degree is almost zero. We don't have many positive anecdotal evidence, examples of students who had a 20 ACT and ended up becoming an electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer. So we do not believe that's going to affect our enrollment. But it can affect the enrollment at the university.
But to this point, they are in your numbers and they are in your diversity numbers and they're in all that stuff. They're counted at this point. And when they go away because of that, there is going to be a drop in enrollment.
But those students are not taking our classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 years,
that's right.
Most of the first 2 years of our program, they're in math and physics and chemistry and arts and sciences. They don't even get through those courses into ours. And we're still seeing with the other students that are matriculating through, we're starting to look at offering multiple sections now because we're out of room and time in some of our other courses.
I think the way to look at it is the students below 21 ACT never affected our workload because our workload starts in the junior year. And they never made it to the junior year in engineering.
And back to Dean Clark's point earlier, I think it's when you set like a higher bar and you seem like a more like elite school, more people think that you're an elite school and they want to go there. So that's why there is the like counterintuitive increase in applications and increase in enrollment when you raise the bar.
I, like he said, I enjoy the higher the bar. I would want to raise the bar too. That makes sense to me. But the 24 for the departmental admission, so I'm in the architectural engineering program right now. Excuse me. And they kind of expect us, since they've gone from the 5-year to the 4-year, they kind of expect us to come in with some of those hours, those gen eds, so that we can get it done in 4 years. Would that possibly affect us going to school an extra semester then, if they couldn't get into the architectural engineering department that first semester? So like when would they be able to get into the department? Like since they would just be in the general.
It's not what, the only thing that the 24 does is that we're not going to slow them down any, because they're going to still take the general courses of calculus and chemistry, or they sometimes college algebra, trigonometry, chemistry, econ. We're just advising them in our general engineering program. And then when they get through Calc 1, we want them to get through that with a C or better. That says, hey, you're okay. Let's get you into the program.
After they're here, we don't look at the 24 anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they can just, they have classes in their GPA, and that's what lets them get in.
And we're not giving them any other classes to take than what's
in the
already in the curriculum.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't take any longer.
Unless they're not unless they don't have the prerequisites for a certain class.
Just touching point on advisors, are you concerned at all that not going straight to departmental advisors is going to need for like monetary increase for general advisors for the college of engineering?
What we're doing in Academic Success Center.
Well, we have, so in the Academic Success Center, we have a first-year instructor and also an advisor. And there's a person that her job is only advising. And that's our intention there, is to have these students that are in the, and we've divided the students into 2 groups, calc ready and not calc ready. And Mary is the one, she takes the not calc ready students, and we're prepared to give her 300, 400 students. And we've got another one, Emily, and she takes the calc ready students that are in general engineering. And that should help. That's going to help in the departments as well, because now they don't have these students until they're moving along through the program a little bit better.
And that was done all with philanthropy.
That's, yeah, those are philanthropic.
That whole organization at that Academic Success Center for the advising is done with philanthropy.
I'm going to speak a little bit to that. As somebody who was in the general engineering program my first semester, I think that my advising was better my first semester than it is now, and that's because the number of people that had the same advisor is a lot less than it was once I joined computer science.
Yeah, no doubt, we hear that all the time. You do get, I mean, paradoxically, you do get better advising when you're advised by the Academic Success Center personnel.
That's their job. That's their sole purpose. Yeah.
On the point of the Academic Success Center, you said most of that is funded through philanthropy.
That's right.
But you also said that if you weren't able to get more fee money, that you would have to reduce programs.
That's
in the
exactly
Academic
right.
Success
Because
Center.
it's unrestricted. A lot of that's unrestricted.
Oh, it's
we'll be able to
unrestricted.
repurpose that money for other things.
Okay.
And that's what we would do. So why is K-State the most expensive of our regional competitors, including KU? Now, I'm not going to compare to Wichita State because I don't have numbers. And quite frankly, I don't want to compare to Wichita State because I see them more as a commuter school. Okay? So I will compare it to the comprehensive in the state. In comparison to KU, we receive less funding from Central on a per head basis. And I'll give you the numbers in a minute. Over the last 6 years, engineering has increased enrollment by 900 students. And due to budget reductions, we received $250K in additional per head funding from Central. And that's because we have what's known as the recurrent UEI revenue stream from Central. It's $1.37 million. But while I've been here at K-State, we've received $1.125 million in cuts to our block. And if you subtract those numbers, you get $250K. So that's how much additional money we're getting from the central administration for that growth of 900 students. Now, of course, you backfilled some of that money last year. $750,000. So here's the numbers. Another thing's not working. Jack, you can do it for me.
Sorry.
So Next slide.
It should work now.
So, yeah, so the rankings of the two institutions, graduate and undergraduate programs, are almost identical. And this is, Ethan Erickson gave me these numbers. This is base funding and additional funding. So at K-State, we get 20, this is base funding and additional string money that I added in the previous slide is 22 million. And so we have 3,800 by 3,900 students. And so if you divide it per student cost, you get 56.75 per student. So that's what we're getting per student. And KU is getting about $8,500 per student. So you see the quagmire we're in. We're getting less money per head. That's the deal. As far as facilities, you can see they've added, while I've been here, they've added 180,000 square feet to their facilities, and we've added 90,000 net square feet. So let's just be clear what's happening here. They are out resourcing us at KU as far as engineering program. There can be no debate. There can be none. Any questions?
When KU makes cuts due to state budget reductions, do they make across the board cuts?
We don't know how they operate.
Okay, I didn't know if we knew that.
I had no idea. That's a perfectly legitimate question.
Yeah.
But we have no idea how they operate. We have no idea how they run their scholarship models. It's very difficult to understand when you're not in the inside. But we do know these things. We do know these.
So we actually borrowed one of their methodologies to do reallocations within the academic areas, and we call it the weighted metrics. And so where they look at productivity and things like that, we've got away a little bit from it, but that's my understanding. They don't go across the board. KU is better funded than us. It's all across our academy. Part of the reason why is because they're split up out of state. So the revenue that they bring in from out of state, students is much larger. They have more discretion, with the funding and things. They have $1 billion, 2, 5, something in their endowment. I mean, they just are better funded.
But everything she says is completely 100% factual. But the truth of the matter is, to educate an engineer costs X. And if they're providing more money to educate an engineer with X, and you're getting less money, that's why you start to cost more than another program. That's what's happening here. So let's just understand. Go ahead.
How concerned are you from a recruitment standpoint that we're more expensive, but at the same level?
Right now, I know we're just a little bit more expensive, but it's really basically flat. And we are concerned that if we continue on this path, that we will eventually, if we continue on this path, not yet, but we're getting there, that it could cost $2,000 or $3,000 more in-state to go to K-State than it could to KU.
So then, are you concerned that the fee will inhibit some of your recruitment because it will add to the total cost of attendance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could get to the point where we could be where the fee, where the tuition to go here. Let's just talk about the numbers. So it could end up being at KU could be $10,000 a year for an in-state engineering student. Just say no scholarships, and it could end up being here if we keep going in this path $12,000 a year in state, and it could affect enrollment. It could. There's no doubt about it. But here's the deal. So what do you want to do? Who do you want to compete against? You want to compete against Wichita State and be that? Or do you want to be a real university? That's the question. That's where we're at.
Well, I want to follow up before Dr. Mason leaves that during the 2025 plan, they set out a list of peer institutions, that the ones that we should be competing against. And KU, while they are a recruitment competitor, they aren't listed as the peer. And when we look at the regional schools that regional schools like Oklahoma State, Iowa State, because there's cost of living involved in other places than the cost of university, we're the most expensive of those universities too. And so
No, that's not true.
Well,
I have a chart. We can get to it in the proposal. That's not true.
Well, I'm looking at your chart right now, and
not most expensive
of your regional schools that
of
not like Washington State,
of
which is
the
on
peer
the northwest, or Auburn, which is in the southeast, or those schools that cost of living differences between the standard. Every student's different, right? It's more expensive there.
Of the peers, we are less than the average.
But why are you more than Iowa State and Oklahoma State?
Because their state provide, well, there's a couple of reasons. Their state provides in Iowa more funding per head of state funding for the Iowa institutions than Kansas does for these institutions.
Oklahoma does less though. They just cut less than Kansas last year. They were.
You're saying they provide
cut
less
more.
than 18% of their total budget?
If I don't have the research in front of me, but from my research class, yes, they cut more than Kansas did last year.
They might have cut
That
more.
one
Wait a
year,
minute.
that 1 year.
Yeah, but I believe Oklahoma provides more funding per head,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
but we don't, you know.
We could,
Yeah, and so like, look, let's say, Lauren, here's a good one. Clemson provides a lot less money per head from the state. Okay, they're one of the ones on that I know a lot about. I spent 21 years there. And they're the same as K-State. In fact, the cost of living there is about the same as here, okay, pretty much. And so they cost about $15,000 a year, and we're still around 10. And it's because South Carolina only provides 8% of the total budget for the university, as opposed to about 20 here. So if you look at this, has been studied. I'll just tell you this has been studied out there also. And it is almost a one-to-one correspondence. The amount of money the state provides, the universities then have to raise tuition per annum. This has been looked at every which way. It's amazing how well they correlate. So when the state cuts a budget, the students pay more. That's a law of gravity.
That's a hard.
Sorry, I don't know why that's not working.
Okay, so that's the next one. So has the increased cost affected out-of-state enrollment and recruitment? We don't believe. We believe the answer is no. Okay, and one of the things is because one of the wonderful things Pat Bosco did was he changed the scholarship, the out-of-state scholarship, and now it's a $48,000 renewable scholarship. Okay, and so this is a powerful tool that we're using right now with our recruiters. In fact, we added a recruiter to just hit the Kansas City, Missouri area to market this scholarship. Okay, so that's been a big game changer for us as far as the way we think about out-of-state recruitment. And if you look at our numbers from 15 to 16, we have more out-of-state students in the College of Engineering. 488, 547. With this scholarship, Kansas is very attractive. I believe, this is just me personally, we all have different ways we think about doing out-of-state recruitment. But I personally believe we should be Missouri and Illinois for engineering, maybe not other majors. But engineering, I believe we should be targeting Missouri and Illinois. The number one destination for students in Missouri out of state is Kansas. The number one out of state destination for Illinois students is Missouri. That's all I need to know.
Costs $20,000 a year in Illinois.
To go in-state.
To go in-state.
Yeah, it's crazy. KU gets a lot of their students from Illinois.
Right, sure. They do.
They do.
That's
They
another
do a lot of
reason. That's
recruiting.
another reason I'm very interested. So the answer is no. So why are no other colleges increasing their fees for paying the person, paying off the budget reduction? Well, I talked to Dean Buckwalter, and I talked to the Dean of Business School, Kevin. What's his last name? I just lost it somehow. Now you know his wife, Shelley. The Dean of Human Ecology and the Dean of Business told me that the fee increases are being used to offset budget reductions. And Buckwalter told me, in the Human Ecology proposal, it's in there and says it. Okay? So there's no doubt that those two colleges are doing it. No doubt.
I just want to clarify.
Sure.
Because I'll follow up with the
Yeah,
exact
follow
quote
up.
from the human ecology proposal. Paying off budget deduction, so they're making up for where.
Yeah, let me show you how we can.
Yeah.
It's real simple. All right, so you have a faculty member leave, and it was being paid out of the block. And then you take that, then you hire a new faculty member. Instead of paying him out of the block, now you pay him out of the fees.
So when Dean Buckwalter said that.
It's not very complicated. Okay.
So when Dean Buckwalter said in his proposal, 100% of the fee will go to faculty salaries and benefits, he's saying somewhere.
He said something's true.
So he's replacing some stuff that's on general budget.
You got it.
You do realize that there's a difference between Dean Buckwalter's fee and your surcharge, correct?
What do you mean difference?
There's a difference in your surcharge definition is different than his fee definition.
You mean the way the university views it, the surcharge and the fee?
As I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have in Winters is a surcharge too, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Just wanted.
The surcharge is more somewhere kind of like a differential tuition. And a fee is this other thing. We have an IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm telling you what's happening. And, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be completely transparent from the get-go. That's why I've been telling you all along, like last year, we're going to use the fees to backfill the budget cut. That way you are completely understanding what's going on. Because I could have said, I'm doing some hanky-panky and moving money around from hat to hat. No, I'll just tell you the truth. Okay? Just give you the truth. And so, let me just say this. The College of Engineering is in a unique situation at this university. And I'm going to give it to you why we're in the unique situation. This is the total enrollment for every college for the last 2 years. And there's one in the green, and that's engineering. It's the only college that the total enrollment is up over the last 2 years. The only one. They're all down. K-State's lost 975 students, engineering's up 371. Any questions?
Those are declared majors?
These is total enrollment, every head in the college.
Okay, so.
Right off the K-State website.
Declare, or are they taking in the hours?
Explain how that's done on the 12th day. Because that's 12th day numbers.
Declare. So some of those that might come in under that threshold would be, like if they declare, they're counted into that number right now.
The definition of from 14 to 16 is exactly the same. The admission criteria they put in place trend is for this fall. So that's
just getting make sure that's.
And so
our graduation numbers are going up too.
Yeah, and so but so here's the deal. Okay. You can't cut the budget if you're broke. It's impossible. I can't add 371 students and then cut the budget. It just won't work. We'll drive the College of Engineering to mediocrity. If that's what you want, that's what you'll get.
Kind of going back to
Sure.
one of the first questions about accreditation, because I think that's kind of been, at least the past few years, that's been the thing that, because of the growth that you've seen in engineering, it's been really necessary. And mechanical engineering and computer science being the two major areas. And you said earlier that as it is right now, and I'm assuming that's without a fee coming in that's next year, you are fine for the ABET accreditation.
We don't know that. We cannot defend
but your reasonable best hypothesis when you said that you were fine earlier. Okay, I just
let me just say the
from what you
student
were saying.
ratio in mechanical engineering, when they got the weak recommendation from ABET, is almost similar to what we have now.
Okay.
Because we've grown so much, even though we've added that 5 or 6 faculty, we're still at the same ratio. So that's why we can't say definitively what will happen. We just don't know. But let me just say this. I don't want us to fixate on ABET accreditation because that's a symptom of the disease. That's not the root cause. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to maintain a great quality undergraduate experience for engineering students. The ABET's a symptom of a problem, but it's not the root problem. So don't fixate on that. That's a symptom.
How do you think our land grant mission fits into that root problem?
You mean the root problem? That's a great question. So if the state continues to decrease the budget, we will look less like a land grant. No doubt about it. I saw it at Clemson. We will start becoming just like every other private school. What happens if we go to 0% funding from the state? We will be a private school, and the land grant mission won't mean anything. We might still call ourselves a land grant. Think about Cornell. They're a land grant, supposedly. They don't act like one. Yes, it will degrade the land grant mission.
So, I guess personally, as a dean, do you feel like you could ever sacrifice mediocrity if it means the College of Engineering maintains a land grant like mission and philosophy?
No, we will never do that. I would throw the land grant away. Mediocrity is nothing we will ever pursue.
So, being better is more important.
Absolutely, no doubt about it, no doubt about it. And I'll tell you why, because reputation is everything. If we don't maintain our reputation, for example, in U.S. News and reputation, what we have in Kansas now, then our enrollment will go further down. And then the quality of education will suffer. Reputation is everything in higher ed. That's exactly right. Then the demand for the grads will go up. Then the salaries will go down for the grads. It's a never-ending cycle. That's why reputation is the gold standard, not the land grant mission. Look, if the land grant mission was the gold standard, the state would still be providing 75% of it. Now, we just kind of realize what's happening, okay? And that's what's happening. We're being defunded. And so the land grant mission is being defunded. That's what's happening. Okay.
Before we do that slide, Dean, the slide with enrollments, this has nothing to do with the statement that the dean is making about the College of Engineering. Those 371 heads, those are head count, and that's up in the college. We've had a tremendous increase over the last 8 years, in particular the last 2 years, in the College of Engineering. We look at the overall totals, that down 975, 350 of those students, this, by the way, that's head count. So it doesn't count credit hours, it's merely heads. 350 of that from 14 to 16 are international students. Another 125 are part-time students through concurrent enrollments. And there's 150 or so graduate students in that count. So there's nothing to do with and by the way, the College of Arts and Sciences, we had a shift from kinesiology to human ecology. So human ecology looks a little better than arts and sciences. So as you go away, nothing to do with the comment that's made. I just try to be as polite as I can be with all these graphs that other people are showing, and just try to make the point that enrollments are head count on that sheet, and look under the sheets and it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, it is. It is more complicated.
But it doesn't take away from the 371.
It is more complicated. It is more complicated. There's a lot of, what Dr. Bosco's talking about, there's a lot of nuance in these numbers. But let me tell you this, if you try to nuance it too much, you can get away from the thing that's the most important. Because we all know if we have high enrollment, higher enrollment, we'll be better off. Go ahead.
Do you have a breakdown of these classes? And maybe Dr. Bosco would tell me, so is the freshman class up this year compared
Freshman
to
class is down, it'll be down again this fall.
Okay.
Including College of Engineering.
For engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And
We're down right now, compared to last year at this time, we're down 300 admitted students in the College of Engineering.
Okay, so
now that's from an all-time high to 300 admitted students down.
Admitted. So we're looking at a 2 to 3 year window where you said that the pressure is not really on the freshmen and sophomores because they're taking arts and science classes. It's going to be the juniors and seniors. So this current pressure that we face with over enrollment is going to be alleviated by the classes that are coming up.
No. In fact, we were now
quality, because it's
I'm not an engineer, but that seems like the logical thing.
No, but because
there's
detail. I mean, in the details. I hate to use the word quality, but the quality of the student is higher, and so we're retaining more. Here's another thing that's happened in the last 5 years. 5 years ago, our freshman to sophomore retention was 67%. Last fall, it was 78%. We're retaining, so our growth is not just due to new students coming in the door in June, but it's also retention, and we've got a lot of intentional retention programs. So students are sticking around. And so some of the students that we're seeing, so some of the shrink of that freshman class are students that we're not going to fill those upper Lambert classes.
Look, what's important, let me just say this.
And our graduation numbers, the last 2 years, we were at 500, 498, 499, and we're going to be about 600 grad students this year.
So that's the key. All right, so that's the key. The question is what, like after this year, if we end up graduating 600 students, that's like 100 and something more than we've ever graduated before. That's how you know what's happening. And right now is we're at the pinch point. Let me just go back in time. So when we started this thing, we had 3,000 students. We should have started ramping into faculty hiring then. Okay, but we didn't, for whatever reason. But now we're trying to do that, and we're playing catch up now. Because now these students are starting to bubble into the junior and senior year. That's when it goes thermonuclear for us. Because that's when they try to get into classes. Yes, the total enrollment has freshmen and sophomore, but now we have this huge sophomore class moving into the junior year, and this huge junior class moving into the senior. And that's why we need the faculty power, the horsepower to teach all these students.
Dr. Bennett is seeing it in calculus, correct?
We have record student credit hours.
Yeah, sure.
In math, and it's very clearly.
75% of Calc 1 students are ours. No, 67%. 75% of Calc 2 students are ours. Something like, I remember looking at
It might be 75. It's usually between 75 and 80. And it varies some from fall to spring.
And so,
and by Calc 3 and differential equations, it's near 90%.
so his numbers are up. Physics, we're working with Dr. Chakrabarty and now Dr. Paula because we're out of room. We've got students on wait lists and no lab space. They've moved labs into the night.
We see no leakage.
And no, that's a sophomore
We don't
level
see any
course.
leakage anywhere. Freshman, sophomore, we monitor the physics and the math. That's how you find leakage. Now, if our freshman if our freshman enrollment goes down, then we'll maybe see some leakage. But right now, yes, our admit's down, but Craig Wantham thinks we're going to enroll the same amount of freshmen that we enrolled last year in engineering. Just because the admits go down don't mean the enrollments go down for freshmen.
The point we want to make is the 4348 is an all-time high. That
Sure.
4348. Those are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors in the College of Engineering that put the load on the juniors and seniors that are in the pipeline. Freshman class will be smaller this fall. That's going to be a ripple effect as we move ahead 2 or 3 years from now. But right now, you're taking, it's like a snake with a big giant rat,
Exactly.
and it goes through sophomore, sophomore, junior, senior year. That's absolutely right on.
So let's get to the last couple of questions. So can you speak to what is being done in relation to the college pay for Putnams? The college expended $2.5 million in Putnam scholarships this year, and it outstrips our endowment. We have about a $40 million scholarship endowment, and now this is outstripping our endowment. Cindy, through her gratitude, through her graciousness, provided us $300K supplement, or either Pat, and I'm not sure exactly how that worked. They provided us this year to help us out, but we have reduced and eliminated many scholarships. In fact, we used to do a grade, if you had a certain GPA, Dean Clark would award certain scholarships. So if you had like a 3.5 or a 4.0, you get $1,000 bump or something on a scholarship. We can't do that anymore. We just don't have the money. Okay.
40 million was the endowment, not the scholarship.
Yeah, 40 million's endowment. So
Yeah.
you drop it 40%, 4% on the 40 million.
Yields 1.6 million.
1.6 million. So you see the 2.5 has outstripped our entire College of Engineering class.
So where do you come up with the other $600,000 to pay for that?
Well, let me tell you what we did. We have some accounts, scholarship accounts that are term endowment, and it allows us to go into the corpus. So we are eating the scholarship seed pool right now,
which reduces our endowment for future.
That's exactly right.
Our Putnam bill 2 years ago was 1.45 million. Last summer was 1.83, and it'll be 2.5 million this year.
So part of the tremendous growth in college engineering were
every dollar we
bright
have.
students, were Putnams. 2 years ago, we enrolled 222 Putnams, 32 ACTs, 3.5 GPA in the state of Kansas. This last fall, 272. College of Engineering gets 50% of the Putnams. So we think about increasing graduation rates, freshman and sophomore retention rates, all the great programs, bright students are retained. And they retain at a higher level than the previous few years. More of them are obtaining the 3.5 to keep their GPA and keep their scholarship. That's the other part of it. So we have a challenge. So yeah, we're down 300 admits in the College of Engineering. You're damn right. It's part of the fact that we're not offering any supplemental scholarships, which Dean Clark put on in 2014, 15, and 16. They're not there anymore. Word is out. So when Craig, God bless Craig, is talking about increasing yield, that ain't going to happen because there's no dollars there to entice a student who's on the fence. Wichita State, KU, Oklahoma State, University of Missouri, Iowa State, University of Nebraska. Those are the competition that we have both in and out of state for engineering students. So yeah, we've had great success in attracting bright students. And part of it is our ability to raise scholarship dollars, and you can't raise enough for the Putnam. You can't raise enough. It's a multi-million-dollar, multi-year challenge that we have.
So the other scholarships, just so I know, it's first generation scholarships is about the only one that you give out now.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, there's some minority ones that we have. There's a few very specific ones, but yeah, first generation's the only other one.
So what is the student input and votes this year, and how does this compare to previous years? The information is contained in Appendix B of the proposal. There are several meetings with student leaders, open forums with students, all students in the engineering student council, and every student in the college is invited. And the student leaders supported the fee proposal almost unanimously. There was one vote against. And I'll tell you, there was less resistance encountered this year than last year. And the reason is because this has been part of a 5-year plan. Okay? The students understand what we're doing now. Okay? And we've had numerous conversations and presentations, and they've got a lot of the answers to their questions. Have they been utilized? Have they been effectively? Well, we've hired 15 additional new faculty over the last 2 years. So we've had some retirements and replacements. This year, the group that came in is represented by these group of students, faculty, 7 replacements and 7 new positions. Those are the positions that the engineering surcharge paid for the previous year. And then this last year for the surcharge paid for these 8 new positions. We're able to squeeze out 1 additional, we think. And of these 8 ones, we've hired 6 people so far, and we have 2 or 3 offers pending to see what's going to happen. And we've already done most of these replacements. So you see we're on track with the hiring plan. We hired 7 new ones last year in addition to the replacements, and we think we're going to be able to hire either 7 or 8 new ones this year. So the idea was 7, 7, 7, 7, 7 over a 5-year period for a total of 35.
I understand the difference between research and instruction and the
Yeah,
focus
sure.
of research.
Yeah.
So is the same, like you said, the replacements and the new positions, is the same allocation in terms of what's expected of research and what's expected of instruction and service, like for these positions?
You mean for the new and the replacement?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's financial.
So it's the same as it was 4
No,
years
it doesn't
ago.
make any
like
difference.
this.
Exactly. Now, all that's the
I
same.
didn't know if you changed that.
No, but instructors, the lecturers, they're different. They just teach. But they're not, the faculty don't even know how they're paid. They don't know that they're a new or, they have no idea. They just like their case they pay. Okay, that's all I have. Any other questions? I think that went a lot better just doing the questions and answers, not going through a boring presentation of the people.
Yeah. So I have a quick question, and I'm going to go back to your slide on the student input.
Yeah, sure.
So I know in like previous years you had listed kind of like the votes and what was said about each, what was said from each of those kind of. Right, if I'm looking at Appendix B, do you have a proposal?
Yeah,
I think we have the comments.
For this year though?
Yeah. Yep. We made 2 sets of notes, the October forum and then the one that we had just
Yeah, I
in
have
January. Should be.
It's not as a mistake.
It's not, yeah, it should be in there.
Or we
We've
have-
got them all typed up. Hopefully.
Yes, academic year 2016-17, and you see the comments are on page 19.
That's all yes, and then that's all yes. Okay.
Yeah, these are the comments from the student, the same ones we did before from the engineering, the student leadership group.
I was just saying, because I think that, in like 14, 15, and then 15, 16, there's yes, 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 maybe no, blah, 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 blah. And then trying to make sure. 16, 17, I don't have a list down of who says yes, no.
I think it is.
Am I missing something? I'm not trying to be difficult.
I think there's one sentence in the upper part.
Oh, yeah, it's right there. It says ballots were passed out to the students for input, right above the comments. Yeah, we didn't do it yet, Ness. No. We just said 11 students voted to support the fee proposal. 1 student did not.
Okay.
We didn't do yes, yeah, we just said.
What other questions might there still be for Dean Dawson about the fee?
Thanks for explaining.
No.
It's been a pretty thorough.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate all y'all's time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
And it's right about 7:30. We were going to have Vice President Bontrager speak a little bit to the budget callback, but that might be better served by next week's meeting. I think, and we could get that conversation in before we all leave for spring break. Think about the budget over spring break.
And maybe we'll know more about what the legislature's doing.
Hey, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Go participate in some Zen.
Wow.